Cardinal Henry Newman once wrote, "When an idea is of a nature to arrest and possess the mind, it may be said to have life. At first, men will not fully realize what it is that moves them, and will express and explain themselves inadequately. There will be a time of confusion when conceptions and misconceptions are in conflict. It will be interrogated and criticized by enemies, and defended by well-wishers. It will, in proportion to its native vigour and subtlety, introduce itself into the framework and details of social life, strengthening or undermining the foundations of established order." In a word, when an idea gets criticised and challenged, when it goes to war, it is either defeated in the minds of men, or it is brought out all the more into greater clarity and relief. Cardinal Newman's words are pertinent because this study is about Sedevacantism, but by extension it is about Catholicism, and namely, it raises the question of what Catholicism is, as opposed to what it is not. Cardinal Newman wrote generally on how Catholic doctrines, although always true and always known, would not need to make themselves explicit unless the war of denial and confusion was waged. Now we speak to a basic doctrine, the Church's very identity, and the war that is being waged upon it. Hence, you have the spirit of these videos that will attempt to clarify the Sedevacantist position. They seek to explain Sedevacantism and the arguments that support it, because there is a great deal of misunderstanding and misnomers clouding around it. The hope is to dispel some of this confusion, and in the process add some clarity about what Catholicism is and what it is based upon. To do this, our study will proceed through a number of stages. We will begin by asking, what is Sedevacantism? And find that it is a theological position, as distinct from a movement, which posits two churches, the true Catholic Church and an illegitimate one which has broken away from it. After this question has been answered, we will ask whether Sedevacantism is an argument that can be made in principle. We will do this by first considering the foundational Catholic principles that Sedevacantism is based upon, namely that Catholic doctrine is unified, it is consistent, it is infallible, and it is to be found in the Church's magisterium. Second, we shall consider the arguments against the very possibility of Sedevacantism. We will consider whether it is based upon private judgment, whether it entails that the Church is invisible, and whether it entails that the Church has defected. After this, we will look at the particular proofs for Sedevacantism by comparing the details of traditional Church doctrine found in her magisterium to the magisterial teachings that follow the Second Vatican Council. It is worth mentioning at this point that many studies of Sedevacantism focus on the heresy and pertinacity of individuals. This is not something that this current study will do. Instead, its focus will be placed on Church doctrine as a whole, and whether one and the same Church can teach two different and incompatible things. In all, a case will be made for Sedevacantism and its relation to, or should we say, as a continuation of, eternal Catholicism. It is understood from the outset that much will be left unsaid and many questions left unanswered, such that this study will not be satisfactory for all people. But with this in mind, it is worth reflecting upon the words of Saint Bernadette. My job is to inform, not to convince. And so, the hope is that these videos will inform at least some of those who seek to learn.